All right, so it's been just over a month since Kamala Harris's campaign of joy came to an end as her nonstop claims of growing up in a middle-class family and speaking like a Hallmark card gone wrong failed to resonate with the American people. It's clear that the only thing this campaign excelled at was gaslighting and creating a total illusion. None of it was real. Let's get into it. Welcome to my channel, Outspoken Samantha. I appreciate you being here, whether this is the first time you have clicked on one of my videos or you are a returning supporter. Please do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, make sure that you're subscribed so you can help me get to my 10,000 subscriber mark before Christmas, and also make sure that your notifications are turned on so that you never miss out on a conversation like the one we're about to have. Most of us remember, unless you're a liberal who has no use for facts or accurate history, that the very party Kamala was running to represent did not want her. Even during the primaries, the first time she tried to run for president, she did not get one vote, blatantly demonstrating that even the Democrat base could tell she was inept, she was insincere, and she was deeply unlikable. So fast forward to the summer of 2024, after 4 years as the vice president and polling as the least popular VP in American history, it was a little shocking to see that out of the gate, she was suddenly neck and neck with a man who could draw a crowd of thousands just by hinting that he was going to be in a particular area. Yet in the coverage of her campaign, the media even went so far as to say her campaign was flawless and that it was incomprehensible for her to even be tied with Donald Trump. She was so amazing that she should be leaps and bounds ahead of him.
After Labor Day, we don't want to be tied. I don't like being tied with Donald Trump because we've had now 20 plus days of positive press. He's been falling down the stairs, slipping on banana peels and poking himself in the eyeball. We should not be tied. We want to pull ahead. That's our opportunity this week.
And that's the key point, Brianna. This campaign, the Harris campaign, has been flawless for the past 28, 30 days. And it's a tied race.
That's scary.
It's a tied race.
That's scary.
They're doing the best they can, and it's tied. That's really important.
Yep. And tonight, Biden comes out, and he's going to do one of the most beautiful acts of political leadership to step back so somebody else can step forward. It very rarely happens. You're going to have Kleenex boxes from up there to over there of people watching someone do something honorable, and it's going to make people want to fight that much harder that his sacrifice is not in vain.
I'll be crying. I'll be crying.
Listen, you wanted it.
And they reassured their voters, promising that the numbers were so close that this could basically be anyone's race, and Kamala had a very real chance of taking the win.
It is much more of a contest now.
Yeah, and look, she has a lot of momentum, but if you do look at the polling, this is still a really tight race. This is going to be a hard fight for either side, a tough based on the numbers we're seeing right now.
100%. Look, I mean, anyone, there's a lot of irrational exuberance on the side of on the Democratic side of the aisle right now because there was despair for some period of time about what the November was going to look like. Now people feel like there's a chance.
But as it turns out, none of that was true. According to senior advisor to Harris, David Plouffe, the public poll numbers were not true at all. Their internal polling told a completely different story.
When we got in, my recollection is some of that snapped back, but we were behind. I mean, I think it surprised people because there was these public polls that came out in late September, early October, showing us with leads that we never saw. It was just basically a race that in the battlegrounds was 46-47, 47-48. So that's not where we started. We started behind. She was able to climb out. I think even after the debate, we might have gained, 0.51. It wasn't a race that moved a lot.
As he said, the numbers that were being shown showed leads that they did not have. We were being told that the battleground states showed leads that were untrue. And from what it sounds like, were completely made up. So I have a question. If you are a Harris voter, does that make you mad? Because it should. These people went out there and made you think that this was a tight race, that Kamala was brat, that she was popular, and convinced you that all she needed to do to win was to talk about abortion, and that would make the majority of the country forget about all of the other things that they were struggling with and vote based on that message alone. They convinced you that was enough, and they didn't even have to do much else because you didn't expect them to. You expected hardly anything from these people, and they lived up to it. They couldn't even deliver the bare minimum, which was the truth. And just as a side note, this is why being rooted in truth and reality is so important, because if you don't have the facts, then you can't put your time and energy into what needs to actually be fixed so you can hopefully correct course and achieve the desired outcome. When you accept and make excuses for lies and delusion, you're being set up to fail. And then when things don't turn out the way that you believed that they will, it's an absolute shock that can send you into a tailspin, which we saw from so many unhinged reactions from liberal women in particular, because based on the information you were given, you should have achieved that goal. But the lies didn't stop there. We also learned that these celebrities who were lining up to endorse this woman, as if any of us give a crap about what these depraved and immoral people think, they were all paid millions to be there, despite the convincing performances that they were 100% dedicated to her message and what she stood for, and that they were taking time out of their busy schedule of counting money and driving their Porsches to talk to us peasants about what matters. The truth is, they were in it for the paycheck. In this tweet by Libs of TikTok, it says the Kamala campaign reportedly paid Beyonce $10 million. All Kamala got was a 5-minute speech. And from what we know about this event, there were a lot of people there that were very angry that Beyonce didn't actually perform, and they left because of it. In this tweet by Ian Miles Chung, it says Oprah, Beyonce, the Call Me Daddy podcast, and so many other celebrities were all paid by the Kamala Harris campaign for their endorsements and interviews. Imagine if Trump paid Joe Rogan for his endorsement and you wouldn't hear the end of it. Oprah got $2.5 million from Kamala. This tweet from Vernon Jones, it says Kamala Harris stole from the poor and gave it to the rich. Kamala paid $20 million to buy the endorsements of celebrities. $5 million to Megan Thee Stallion, $3 million to Lizzo, $1.8 million for Eminem. It says $1 million for Oprah, but that was later updated to $2.5 million, and $500,000 to Al Sharpton. With a hefty paycheck, you can get anyone to say anything, especially in Hollywood, because that's literally their job. The last revelation came just today as Alex Cooper from the Call Her Daddy podcast admitted during an interview that the Harris campaign blew a huge amount of cash on building a fake studio in DC just for this one conversation. Now, Alex Cooper doesn't believe that this actually cost $100,000 like people are suggesting. However, the fact that that's what they spent that money on shows how much they had to falsify Kamala's popularity to make it seem like she was in higher demand than she really was.
A little bit of controversy about that podcast because you did. Oh. Do you know about this?
No, what?
Because in DC, this interview happened in DC.
Yeah.
In a hotel.
Yeah, not in a hotel. It was like a random house.
It was like random house. But apparently, you can tell me, they spent, meaning the Harris campaign spent like $100,000.
I did see
you
that.
Know about this?
It's hilarious.
To build the studio.
Yeah, that's not true.
Not true. To make it look like it was the studio that you used in LA.
My studio that is gorgeous in Los Angeles doesn't even cost 6 figures. So I don't know how cardboard walls could cost 6 figures, but.
But do you think they did that? I mean, you saw it.
Absolutely not. With love to them. Oh my God, it was gorgeous, but like, it wasn't that nice. It wasn't like gorgeous marble. Like, no, that was not 6 figures.
Now, just because she wasn't in a space that had the look and feel of a $100K investment does not mean that that's not what they spent on the interview. Alex probably isn't aware of all of the other expenses that would go into creating that entire environment. So it may have felt cheap, but with how Kamala's campaign burned through their donations and are now in significant debt, what this all comes down to is something that most of us are already blatantly aware of, that there was literally nothing authentic about the Kamala Harris campaign. Nothing. It was entirely manufactured, from the level of popularity that she had to the idea that all of these people with high status in society supported her, down to the very sets that she appeared on. This all aligns with who she is as a person. She is deeply, deeply insincere and phony and corrupt, and it's all about what she wants you to believe so that she can gain power. And the vast majority of Americans could see it, which is why it wasn't Republicans who pushed Trump into the victory. It wasn't this MAGA extremist movement. It was the independent voters and a huge number of lifelong Democrats who opened their eyes to reality and could see right through the deceit and did not want to continue down a path that had been created by the Biden-Harris administration by voting the same person into office again. No matter how much she talked about joy and tried to make us scared of Trump, she overestimated what money could buy and significantly underestimated our intelligence. Well, most of us. Of course, there are still many who are in denial. They blame us, they blame Trump, they blame everybody under the sun, and they shaved their heads. And they're likely too far gone to ever reason with, but you never know. But I would love to hear all of your thoughts on this in the comments below. Again, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. I would love it if you would help me to reach that 10,000 subscriber mark. So please subscribe now. Keep it real, guys, and I will see you in the next one.